So like Audra, I'm thinking for you from an executive leadership standpoint, what difference does executive leadership make in helping your employer brand be ready for the future?
Hey, I think, like I said from the beginning, everything. Like they determine the values. They can change the values.
Mic drop everything.
Yeah, but I mean, they can change the completely culture of the team, or they could all leave, and a new executive team comes in, and then they could change the culture. So I think it all comes top down. And again, we can have some influence, but it's so key that they're there. And I think Cherie and I were talking about, it's how important it is when you're interviewing for a company to get a feeling for how they think about employer branding before you accept or even reject an offer. And sometimes you don't necessarily have a choice, but at least you'll know it might be an uphill battle. And you could spend the first couple of months educating before you start the work if you need to. So I think know that it's before you even start, or like where the challenges are, ask all those right questions. And actually now I remember, Brian, you had a really great blog about questions to ask for interviews. I think it was, I feel like I've used that before. That was great.
Yeah, I wrote that because it was one of those things where when people would come to me, or like, oh, I've got this employer brand job. I'm like, here are all the questions that you need to be able to answer in order to know whether I'm going to keep talking to you. And so that one of those was like, what's the leader's position on this? How important do they think? How do they show up? And Cherie, specifically, when you think about leaders who might be skeptical or even silent, how do you create momentum when you get either of those responses?
I usually show them numbers. In my case, I wasn't privy to some of our leaders who were not on like LinkedIn and everything. And they needed to be, because they had large audiences. So there's like all these people out there that could be reaching and talking about the company and, what we do and things like that. So basically just gather the ROI, like show them, how someone performs who is on there frequently. Let them know that, statistics behind it. I think I was reading on Glassdoor. I just roughly, but like companies, they have a better reputation for like it's 43% or something like that if their CEO or leadership is on there. It just makes them more transparent about what's going on in the company, more visionary leadership. Stakeholders want to know what's going on, and they want to kind of feel that like real, authentic connection coming from who's leading the company.
Yeah, I think it's also what you can hold them accountable for. If they're showing up, it's like, oh, okay, that's important to them. Meaning I can reference that. And I know that that's going to connect to other things that I had questions about. So we've got, Allison has a good comment in here. She's like, some people may want the challenge of having to sell the concept, and that's a good job for them. But others may want to involve an existing employer brand that's already been embraced, and they're taking it to the next level. And it's important as a candidate to not only know what you want, but what this potential employer is offering, right? So it's like, what's their level of understanding and acceptance? What's the level of advocacy internally, right? Are there people showing up externally because they want to support that brand because they believe in it?